So if you value the house and you love it, then there's probably chances that somebody else might as well. But unless you feel that way, there's no point of just putting in offers on something. You got to love it. It's got to be better than where you are right now.
Hello and welcome to the first ever edition of the Bamford & Co. Podcast. This is something we are very, very excited about here at the Dufferin Ave Media Network, as we got a couple of really good dudes who I've known my entire life who just so happen to be involved in realty and a lot more, and we will get into all that right now as we now introduce to you the hosts of the Bamford & Co. Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Gregg and Ryan Bamford. I guess we should have had more people in the studio so we could have a louder clap. Normally that happens. How you doing, guys? Welcome to Diggs.
We're doing great. Thanks for having us, Gary.
Thank you for coming. This is very exciting. I know you guys have done a lot of really cool things as far as media goes with what you're up to, and I'm very excited to introduce you guys to everyone and basically tell them what we're all about here with the first edition of an ongoing series of shows that are going to be all about a whole bunch of stuff and a lot of learning, I think, eh? We could say that?
For sure. I think that we've always wanted to give our clients in the community insight into how to look at real estate. And there's a lot of amazing contractors and people that we work with on a daily basis that we'd like to showcase and I guess educate people on what they also have to offer within our community.
Absolutely. Just to give you a little idea, we were supposed to start a little bit earlier, but Network Ryan, who's on the ones and twos here today, was just asking a million questions, and we had a whole show without hitting record. It's like, oh, geez, we should have caught all that. But again, there was a lot of stuff, as there is so much that goes on in not just the realty world, but in the connection that we make with the realty world, I think, right? Because for a guy like me, I don't know a single thing. You hear about markets up and down, left and right. I never know, and I like to think I'm pretty much an everyman, as in, I don't know anything, because most people really don't when you get down to it. And I feel like this is a great opportunity to not only entertain, but to inform as we move forward. And I just wanted to make sure that we got everyone to know who you are and what you guys are all about. So, Ryan, I'll ask you this question. What are you looking to accomplish with all this? What's the big goal with this little party we're going to start running once a week here?
Well, I think the big thing is to actually add value to consumers out there. There's a lot of knowledge that we have, like Greg was saying, is that we also have a big sphere of influence in the community, whether it's around real estate or just different things that people might find some value in, right? So it's giving back to the community, sharing free information for people that's actually going to be useful.
See, and a lot of people get excited when you hear the term free, right? Because a lot of, especially in this world of like podcasting and doing shows, there's a lot of, I don't want to say like game-changing things going on, but the evolution of how people consume media has sort of shifted from like the traditional radio and TV into the YouTube shows and the social media aspect of everything. And it's really exciting for us here because we've made the jump and we've said this is where we want to be moving forward, because this is where people are going to go to get their information and to be entertained. And I think we've sort of been on the front end of that, and it's so exciting for me to have you guys feeling that same thing. It's sort of like you're getting ahead of a market that's growing, if you will, if I was to use a realty term.
For sure. I think it's interesting because I've been in real estate since 2005.
Yeah.
So when we first got into the market, the average selling price was $118,000, and it tripled in 3 years. And now we see us in the exact same market. So we have a lot of things that we can share with people that give them the advantage when they're looking at either selling their property or even possibly buying. So it's just giving those insights that with years of experience we're able to share.
Yeah, and it's really cool too, because you'll notice at the same time as we have noticed is there are no real rules to how this all goes down. That's what attracted us to come to this sort of venture and getting online with all of our stuff, because there's no program directors, there's no bosses saying, hey, you can't do that. You can't have someone walk in during a live show and sit down and just start talking. It's like, well, why not? That's like pretty real to me. And I think as far as I can tell, there's not too many people out there taking advantage of that. And what I mean by this is you have people that work with you. You have people that we can bring in here, which we're going to bring in here, and sit down and tell you about the different options you have, not just for buying and selling, but for interior decorating and all of that other stuff that you guys are associated with other people, right? Like this is a great way to let people know how sort of the new wave of all of this is going to be, whatever it is. Like, you guys are really setting the tone here, which is really cool.
Well, it's awesome. I mean, we were looking at possibly doing a podcast, but we didn't know really where to start. And then I mentioned I phoned up Kurt Dahl because I saw him share something about
One
his
Bad
his
Podcast,
house and
man.
so
Every
forth.
Friday
Yeah.
it drops here. Very exciting.
And reached out to him, and he's like, you should reach out to Gary Nickel. And I was like, what's Nickel doing? And he's like, it's awesome. You just go check it out. And then from here, then why wouldn't we want to work with you? And at the same time, you've got an amazing set. It's all worked out for us, and it just makes it easy to be able to share what we would like to with the community. So it's a win-win for everybody. And because you're so personable and easy to talk to, I mean, it just makes it also fun, right? Like, I think with real estate, it can be so emotional a lot of times that people get stressed out. So if we can be a little bit more laid back by still giving value and still professional but fun, I think it's then even better for everybody.
That's one of the big things that we like to say around here. We call it baking in the information to the conversation. So instead of like doing the robot thing, like, here is a list of all of the listings, you know, like, no one wants to hear that. You can go on a computer and do that. If you have a human being telling you, here's a really cool listing that would be great for this certain type of family in this area at this price, and not have it be like preachy, but have it be in conversation, then that's the gold mine. That's the pocket, I call it, because you're accomplishing what you want to accomplish without being like the preacher on the top of the hill, be like, everyone listen to what I have to say. It's such a fine line.
It's actually interesting. The one thing that just popped into mind, which I never really thought about, but was people understanding the neighborhoods and what they have to offer, the schools and so forth, the coffee shops and what you're buying, because you're really buying a location in a neighborhood, right?
That's it.
So, I mean, those are also things I guess we can highlight on this, right?
And that goes into my next question for you guys, as in, what are the sort of like the important points that you would like to get across throughout this journey? And I mean that in a sense of like the simplest terms. Like you talked about location being important. And are there other things that you sort of like specialize in, or that you guys have like an extra interest to get out?
Of course, we have probably, between the three brothers, we almost have, 45 years of experience
There we go.
between
Now
it.
we're talking. This is like, let's call this the resume portion of the show.
Yeah,
Tell us why people should use Bamford and Co.
Well, we're not going quite there, but at the same time, is that there's a lot of things that we've experienced over, for myself, 17 years in the industry, is that Greg and I talk, daily about how we're going to, protect our clients' best interests, what we're looking for, and how we're going to approach maybe that multiple offer situation, maybe what market value is that knowledge, it takes a long time. It's experience, right? And
reps, man. We talk about reps all the time here. You got your reps.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that we have people to be able to bounce it off of as well, too, that have also similar experience, and it just goes a long way.
I think another thing I'd like to add to that is the way that we work with our clients, right? So we're not there to sell them something. We're there to listen to what their needs are and help them through the journey of finding the right property. And so I think it's a little bit different than we're looked at as salespeople or realtors, right? And maybe sometimes has a negative connotation to it, but we look at it a little bit different. We're there for the journey to educate you through the whole process. And then it's how do you maximize the sale of your home, but then how do you find the right property in today's market, right? So it's giving them useful information. And we don't sell houses. We either market them and be able to, I guess on the sales side, we market that. But on the buying side, it's about all the little things that you should be paying attention to when you go to a property, right? So it's like us, like sometimes I've had it to where people are like, do you sell any houses? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you've talked us out of like 22 houses. And I was just like, well, they weren't good houses, right? And I said, like, my job is to tell you all the negative things about them, because I might as well catch them before the home inspector does.
Of course.
And so we're saving you $450 every single time we go to a house that we tell you the truth. And once you understand all this, you know when it's the right house, because you'll be upset if it's gone tomorrow, right? And then that's when somebody knows it's the right property. And the one thing that I always say is, if the house was gone tomorrow, would you be upset? And the reason I ask that is because back in the day, people would say, well, I want to think about it for 2 to 3 days. Then they would come back to us and say, I'm so excited. We love the house. I'd phone the agent up and I'd be like, oh, no, this is going to go over good. And then you phone him and be like, I hate to tell you the bad news, but somebody else bought that house. Ugh. So if you value the house and you love it, then there's probably chances that somebody else might as well. But unless you feel that way, there's no point of just putting in offers on something. You got to love it. It's got to be better than where you are right now.
Make no mistake when I say this. With this space that we created, I was telling you guys before, it's like a hallowed ground for us here. Like it's like a safe space, and we don't weed out the people you don't want in here. But if you're like sort of not a good person, you know what I mean? If you're like someone that's sort of like isn't in the same mindset as we are, of like, you know, lifting each other. I always say we were in the business of bringing people up, not bringing people down.
For sure.
And like there's been people who have wanted to do business and they've come in here, and it's just I hate using the term vibe. It's an ongoing joke here, but if their like aura is off, it's like, oh, you know what? I just don't think you're quite the right fit for this. So the fact that you guys are in here in the building, it already says, hey, guess what? You're really good people, and you have the same mindset of, hey, we're not here to screw you over on houses. We're here to make sure you don't get screwed over as we move forward together. And that alone is a really cool thing.
So we basically get like a blue check mark, like
From Gary.
From
Yeah.
Well, I've also been, as fellow Bobcats boys, we stick together, right? That's sort of what we do as we've grown up in this city. Hanging out in the Bamford & Co. podcast here with Gregg and Ryan, talking about the new adventure going on as we make our way forward. Now, I want to get a little bit into what we can expect from this show moving forward, because we're doing a couple episodes. And do you want to get into the nonprofit stuff as well right now? Do you want to sort of talk about that side, or do you want to leave that for as like a teaser?
Well, I mean,
because it goes, it bakes
I
in.
believe that we want to offer our clients and be successful in real estate, but it's also about bettering our community, right? And
it's right
in the long run, the more that we're able to do within real estate, the more time and energy we have to be able to give back to the community. And so there's multiple things that we do. I mean, Ryan with Hockey Helps the Homeless on that board.
That's so cool.
I mean, we used to coach Kinsman Hockey League I was there for 13 years. So we understand that. And then with one small step, right? There's there's a capacity. I mean, we could go on for days about these things, but at the same time, I think mostly with the Bamford & Co. podcast, it'll be mostly real estate based. Yeah. But I mean, I think we'll do other.
I just want to make sure people understand. Like, I don't just say you guys are good guys. Like, you're actually out there showing that you're doing great things. And I hate having stuff like that go unnoticed, because I'm pretty sure you guys are like me. Like, no one wants to say, look at me, look what I'm doing, look at all this stuff. You know, so if no one notices it, you're not getting that maximum impact of the good that you're making. So I want to make sure people understand, like, yes, of course, this is all about realty, but there's also another side to it that's really important to you guys. And we want to make sure that gets out there as well.
For sure. Like Saskatoon we've grown up in Saskatoon, like you're saying, right? So is it, we're deeply rooted, is it, I think that, just like Gregg was saying, is that, the community is important to us, and giving back is obviously something that we think is something we need to do.
Yeah.
Is that we've been gifted in a lot of ways, and I think that says a lot, is that we need to give back for certain things that we have, right?
So those are the people you want to be surrounded by. Those are the people you want to be helping and supporting.
Well, and I guess in the past we didn't highlight everything just because, I mean, we did it because it makes us feel good.
That's
right. And so, but at the same time, when you see an impact and you see a kid that used to coach hockey and you made a difference in their life and the rest of it, you're like,
love that.
Maybe I did make more of a difference, right? But you're
and then it makes you want to do more. Like it rolls. It's like the snowball effect.
I think it does. I mean, the thing is, you go out there and you do something kind for somebody else. I mean, it never makes you feel bad. It usually gives you a really good feeling, and it makes you want to do more and more. And so I guess if we can help showcase those things so that more people get involved, because I believe it's all our responsibility to make a community better, but it's everybody doing a little bit, right? And it's, so that's kind of where we're at on
karma.
that.
I spend every live Your Show we do here Monday to Friday from 4 to 5 p.m., I end them all saying, and I did this on the radio in the past too, that karma is very, very real. If you start doing good things, you'll notice good things will start happening to you. That's how we built this place. That's how like this whole thing got started. So when I see other people doing that, it's like, hell yeah, I can get behind that. Okay, let's see what's going on here. And like our friends at the food bank, like Deb and Lori, the team over there, they're incredible people who I just love. They're my best pals. Yeah. And like they say, hey, we got this citywide fundraiser going on for the entire month of May. Can you help us out? Yeah, of course we can. Yeah. Every day we were giving updates, we were making pledges. Every time I was using crutches, they're called. So for me, a crutch, if you're a host, it's like where you use words. Like for me, it was again. So I'd say something, I'd say, and again, And that gives you a couple seconds to think about what the next thing you're going to say is going to be.
Okay.
So I ended up, every time I said again, for the entire month of May, we did a $10 donation. And we ended up donating about, after being matched by our good friends over at Aquaman, about $900 for a donation. So not only was I learning about how often I was using my crutch, every time it was like, oh, by the way, citywide food drive going on with the Saskatoon Food Bank and Learning Center.
So almost like a swear jar.
Basically, yeah.
Which was horrible for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
it's
that's,
like
you can imagine. So that thing got filled up, and we had Lori in studio, and she was talking to us about the stuff. Like, it was a really cool thing. So, like, for me, when I look at this Bamford & Co. podcast, and I talk to you about the nonprofit stuff, it's like, I want to get in that too. Like, we want to support that as well, because we have this megaphone to get out there what's happening, and it'd be a shame if we didn't use it.
right. And
So-
we appreciate it.
Of course.
I mean, it's been fun so far, and we just started, right? And
Yeah,
we're gonna
man, like,
get in
it's-
more of a rhythm as we keep on going on this as well, too.
All right, now before we put an end to the first episode of the Bamford & Co. podcast, maybe give us a little bit of a feel about what to expect as far as guests go and people that are going to be involved with this as you guys move forward. What are we looking at?
So there's going to be a wide variety of things, and most of it's going to be surrounding real estate. We will
course,
have a
yeah.
little bit of charity things in there as well.
And fun too. Make no mistake. Like this isn't a show where you have to be like in your suit and doing that. Like you guys can show your personalities. You guys are funny guys.
But real estate should be fun.
That's right.
Like that's
There
what
you
we're
go.
here for.
Yeah.
Every day is that we have a lot of laughs with our clients, and
That's
he's
it.
talking about the bad homes. There's lots of things that we can laugh about, right?
Of
So
course.
I think the main thing is that most of it's going to be around real estate. Is it whether it's interior designers or maybe professional organizers, mortgage brokers, could be some builders.
Builders, technologies, how AI has changed our kind
there
of
it is.
dynamics within real estate. We're really focusing on what we can bring the market that might not be here, right? We've always been kind of forward leading in the way that we've done real estate, and this is just a new way that we can kind of showcase that.
And also adding value is that's the big thing, is we want to be able to give different information that people might not hear on the everyday things. Maybe do something a little bit different than the majority of realtors are doing out there. I know I get it. Just seeing what we list and sell on our social media isn't necessarily overly appealing. Let's add some more
course.
value for
Yeah.
people. And you know what? We have a lot of experience and a lot of things that we've learned over the years, and we want to share that and give people a better understanding on maybe how to navigate the markets that we're dealing with.
I love how you put that, is adding to the value, because not only, like you said it, you're not just there to sell and buy these houses. You're there to help your clients. And if you see something and you say, what, I got a person that can do something with this room that's going to shoot your value up through the roof. And then to have that person in here and explain how that works, like, oh, okay, here we go. Now we're cooking.
For sure. I want to educate people for them to know how, like, all the information that we have, so they can make an educated decision on their side of things.
That's the best. Let them do the work.
Yeah.
And it's not actual work, like you say.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes we go into a property and we get their house ready for sale, and they're like, man, I wish I would have done this.
Yeah.
I love my house now. Maybe I want to stay. So maybe we kind of canceled the listing just because we've done what we need to do for that house. But I think it's super important that they can enjoy it the whole time they're living there, rather than maybe just doing it at the very end for us to get them the best market value, right? So I think that would be super beneficial, and I think all the things that we're hopefully bringing to this podcast will give those people that, I guess, a better lifestyle within their homes.
Very well said. Again, the Bamford & Co. podcast, episode 1 is in the books. We will be back with episode 2 in 1 week from today. Be sure to check that out as we move forward. Anything else you guys want to say to end off the episode? Anything cool? Any catchphrases? Anything fun?
No, but thanks, Gary. We really appreciate the opportunity. We love
heartstrings.
the white picket fence back here.
The paperboy
It's like
theme, baby. Yeah.
The clouds. You spend a lot of time on those clouds. They're brilliant.
It's cool. I've been trying to figure out what I want to get, like a skywriting in there somewhere. I don't know what it would be though.
What about a bird?
Just a little, an airplane with a little, that tag along sign.
Oh, well, we had an idea from one of our
I think there's a little
buddies.
airplane up there right now. Yeah.
We were talking about having a track along the top, and then it'd have like a business name on the top, and it'd pull the string, and the plane would come across with the business name. Maybe you could do that with like a listing, just have it come across on the plane. The point is, anything goes here, and if you think of anything or dream up anything, we could try really hard and possibly make it happen. So,
And if anybody has any suggestions of what they want us to cover,
Yes.
I think that would be super helpful to us,
Absolutely.
because we come up with certain things that we're thinking that people want, but we want their feedback as well, right? So
hell yeah. No, this is good. All right, we'll wrap it up for this one. Thank you again to you guys, the Bamford & Co. podcast. All the information will be in the describes, I believe it's called. Network, Ryan, did I say that right? Descriptions, in the description. So you can find all the important info there. And yeah, great job, boys. Great opening show. I can't wait to see the next one.
Perfect. Thanks for having us, Gary.
thanks, Gary.